Okay, what's going on, guys? So we are here at the Van Lee Beacon with an issue. Now, this is not an issue the folks at Van Lee could have really discovered, because it's actually a problem with a piece that was assembled. And this is a really good example of the fact that a manufacturer can assemble everything in an RV, but the component that was put in might be a bad component. And in this case, that's what it is. And it's a pretty serious one. So, guys, you're not going to want to miss this. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm working my way around some fine folks who came down to fix this, but you can probably tell what's wrong here. You were looking at a hole in the shower basin or tub or whatever you want to call it. The fiberglass is cracked through, and we actually discovered this when my daughter was taking a shower and she stepped on this section with her heel and she heard a crack, and she finished up, and when she came out in the living room she said, "Hey, I think there's a crack in the shower." And of course the first thing most people would think about is the fact that, did the shower head fall and crack the floor? And she said it didn't, and I'm always inclined to trust her. Well, now we have the folks out here that fix this for a living, and they said this is absolutely a defect in the shower and not something that was caused by this falling. And if you look closely, you'll see how thin the material is right there. All of this area around it is relatively thick, but then you get to this little area, at least when it was closed in more, and it's incredibly thin. This was essentially an air pocket or an air bubble that was in there whenever they started fiberglassing this, and it was just something that you couldn't see, and it's between the layers. So the folks at Van Lee, when they install this, it's not something that they would see, but because from the backside it looks perfectly fine. And then right here, it's perfectly fine. So there's a bubble inside of there. But this is completely covered under warranty. The folks that actually came out here had no idea that I'd be recording any part of this, and that's probably a testament to the fact that this is their standard operating procedure when it comes to fixing something like this. But they are going to repair this, and I will show you what it looks like when they are done. So I'm going to get out of their way and let them get started. Okay, so what they've done so far is a resin injection. Right here, they've injected and filled the whole gap with resin. Then you have to fill it next, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, they're going to sand it down, I imagine?
Yes.
And then buff it and paint it.
Paint it and then buff it.
Paint it and then buff it. But it's coming along. We happen to have a cold front that came through, which makes drying time a little bit longer. And we have high humidity down here as well, which the cold is kind of masking that, and I imagine that's not helping very much either. But it's coming along. I think, what, about 50% of the way done? Mm-hmm. Okay. How long do you say this entire process would generally take, like this start to finish?
Probably
2 hours.
If everything worked out perfect, it would probably could be done in an hour.
Okay, so about an hour under ideal conditions, and then about 2 hours with the conditions we have now?
Absolutely.
Okay. But this is a pretty common thing too, I imagine, right?
Not very often.
Okay, so this doesn't happen very often. I'm imagining typically it's a crack, but it's not an air bubble type crack, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, well, they didn't want to be on camera, so I'll let them have at it again. Okay, so apparently it has a tish different color to it according to the installer here. I really can't tell what the tish difference is. It's pretty close.
Slight.
It's very slight if there is a difference. You might be able to see it on camera more than I can. Are you trying to point it out? Because I really don't care. If I can't see it, yeah, I really don't care. Well, man, talk about a good job. Wow. And that's a real thick material now, right? We're talking much thicker than the air bubble thickness that was under the floor before. Very, very nice. Is it completely cured at this point, or does it still take a couple of days to...
It's still curing a little bit.
Okay, so it's still going to cure for a while. So it took us...
You could use it.
Yeah, and it took us roughly, I guess, about 2 hours to complete. Well, that's very cool. I appreciate that. And you guys are contracted out by the tub company, Bayview. And do they cover this as part of the warranty, or is this a Van Lee thing that's covered?
They paid for that.
Okay, so this is actually being paid by the shower manufacturer. So that's always something to keep in mind. When you buy an RV, you have all sorts of different warranties that cover all sorts of different aspects of it. And in the case of the shower, it has its own warranty to cover things like that, as long as it wasn't physically damaged by the person who owns it. Otherwise, you probably could still contact them out, but you'd probably pay for the repair, I imagine. All right. Well, I really appreciate that. Again, they didn't want to be on camera, so I'm going to respect that. I kind of understand. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.